Hello, hi, welcome. Today we are going to discuss about income tax. In income tax, the basic introduction for become students. So let us learn about income tax. Let us start. Basic concept of income tax. What is tax? First, we have to know the tax. Here, tax is compulsory contribution to state revenue levied by the government on workers' income and business profits or added to the cost of some goods, services, and transactions. It may be direct tax or indirect tax. Direct tax is a tax such as income tax, which is levied on the income or profit of the person who pays it rather than on goods or services. Indirect tax is levied on goods and services rather than on income or profit. So moving to the next, the introduction. The present law of income tax is contained in the Income Tax Act 1961. The Income Tax Act contains the provisions for determination of taxable income, determination of tax liability, procedure for assessment, appeal, penalties, and prosecutions. It also lays down the new powers and duties of various income tax authorities. The income tax law comprises the Income Tax Act 1961, Income Tax Rules 1962, notifications and circulars issued by Central Board of Direct Taxes (CBDT), Annual Finance Acts and judicial pronouncements by Supreme Court and High Courts. So here tax, direct tax and indirect tax. In direct tax there is two taxes. First one is income tax and second one is wealth tax. In indirect tax there is four taxes. So first one is excise duty, VAT, service tax, and custom duty. Moving to the next, income. So first we have to understand what is income. Here it is given as per section 2 subsection 24. Income includes, number 1 is profit or gains of business or profession. Number 2 is dividend. Number 3, voluntary contribution received by charitable, religious trust or university, education institutions or hospital. Number 4, value of persecutive or profit in lieu of salary taxable under section 17, and special allowance or benefit special specifically granted either to meet personal expenses or for performance of duties of an officer or an employment of profit. Number 5, export incentives like duty drawback cash compensatory support, sale of license, etc. Number 6, interest, salary, bonus, commission, or remuneration earned by a partner of a firm form such firm. So moving to the next, number 7, capital gains chargeable under section 45. Number 8, profit and gains from business of bank carried on by a cooperative society with its members. Number 9, winning from lotteries, crossword puzzles, races including horse races, card games, and other games of any sort of or form of gambling or betting of any form or nature whatsoever. Number 10, deemed income under section 41 or 59. And number 11, sums received by an SSC from his employees towards welfare fund contribution such as provident fund, superannuation fund, etc. Number 12, amount received under Keyman insurance policy including bonus theorem. Number 13, amount received under agreement for A, not carrying out activity in relation to any business, or B, not sharing any know-how, patent, copyrights, etc. Number 14, benefit or perquisite received from a company by a director or a person holding substantial interest or a relative of the director, such person. Number 15, gift as defined under section 56 subsection 2(6), any sum of money exceed rupees 50,000 received by an individual or a HUF Hindu undivided family from any person during the previous year without consideration. Number 16, any consideration received for issue of shares as exceed the fair market value of the share referred to in section 56 subsection 2(7)(b). And 17, any sum of money referred to in clause 9 of subsection 2 of section 56. Next, we have to understand the SSC. So, who is the SSC? Here it is given, SSC as per section 2 subsection 7 of the Act. SSC means a person by whom any tax or any other sum of money is payable under the Act and includes A, every person is respect of whom any proceeding under this Act has been taken for the assessment of his income, assessment of fringe benefits, or of the income of any other person in respect of which he is accessible, or to do determine the loss sustained by him or by such other persons, to determine the amount of refund due to him or to such other person. B, every person who is deemed to be an assessee under any provision of this Act. C, every person who is deemed to be an assessee in default under any provision of this act. Assessment year. Section 2 subsection 9, assessment year means period of 12 months commencing on 1st April every year and ending on 31st March of the next year. Income of previous year of assessee is taxed during the following assessment year at the rates prescribed by the relevant financial act. Next, previous year, section 3, income earned in year is taxable in the next year. The year which income is earned in known as previous year. From the assessment year 1989 to 90 onwards, all assessees are required to follow the financial year April 1st to March 31st as previous year. The until previous year has to be income tax completed on the total income of the previous year of every person in the assessment year. However, there are 5 exemptions to rules. Number 1, assessment of non-resident in respect of their income from shipping business, section 172. Assessment of person living in India, section 174. Number 3, assessment of association of persons or body of individuals or artificial judicial person formed for a particular event or purpose, section 174A. Fourth one, assessment of persons trying to alienate their assets with objective of avoiding liability to tax, section 175. Next, fifth one, assessment of income from discontinued business. Next, we have to understand about person. So here person, as per section 2 subsection 31, person includes an individual, a Hindu undivided family, a company, a firm, an association of persons, or a body of individuals, whether incorporated or not, a local authority, every artificial judicial person not falling within any of above categories. Next, moving to the next, an individual, a natural human being, either it is male or female, minor or person of sound, unsound mind. A Hindu undivided family, it consists of all persons linearly descended from a common ancestor and includes their wives and unmarried daughters. A company, section 2 subsection 17 defines the term company to means, number 1, and any Indian company, or number 2, any body corporate incorporated by under the law of country outside India, that means a foreign company. Number 3, any institution, association or body which was assembled or was assessed as company for any assessment year under the Indian Income Tax Act 1922, which is or was assessable or was assessed under the act as company for any assessment year commencing on or before 1st April of 1970 or any institution association or body, whether incorporated or not, whether Indian or non-Indian, which is declared by general special order of brought to be company only for such assessment year or assessment years as may be specified in the declaration. So moving to the next, a firm, a partnership firm, whether registered or not, an association of person or a body of individuals, whether incorporated or not. The difference between association of person and body of individual is that whereas an association implies a voluntary getting together for a definite purpose, a body of individual would be just a body without any intention to get together. Moreover, the member of body of individual can be individuals only, whereas the member of an association person can be individual or non-individual, that means artificial persons. A local authority means municipality, committee, district board, body of port, commissioner, or other authority legally entitled or entrusted by the government with control and management of municipal or local fund. Every artificial judicial person not falling with any of the above categories. Next, moving to the next, capital and revenue receipts. Capital and revenue expenditure. In computing taxable income, normally revenue and expenditure incurred for the purpose of earning income is deductible from revenue receipt unless the law provides specific rules to disallow such expenditure wholly or partly. On the other hand, capital expenditure is not deductible while computing taxable income unless the law expressly to provides neither the capital expenditure nor the revenue expenditure has been defined in the act. However, from the facts and circumstances of each case and from the judicial decision, the following general principles to be kept in the mind. So number one is capital expenditure is incurred in acquiring, extending, improving a fixed asset, whereas revenue expenditure is incurred in the normal course of business as a routine expenditure. Number two, capital expenditure incurred of for enduring the benefits, whereas in revenue expenditure is consumed within a previous year. Number three, capital expenditure makes improvement with earning capacity of a business, whereas a revenue expenditure maintains the profit making capacity of a business. Number four, capital expenditure is a non recurring expenditure, whereas revenue expenditure is normally recurring one. Next, computation of taxable income and tax liability of an assessee. So determining, number one, determining the residential status of person as per section 6 of the act. Number two, calculate the income as per the provision of respective heads of incomes. Section 14 classifies in the income under 5 heads. Number one is income from salaries. Number two is income from house property. Number three is profit and gains of business and or profession. Number 4, capital gains, and number 5 is income from other sources. These are the 5 main heads. And number 3, consider all the deduction and allowances given under the respective heads before arriving the net income. Include income exempt under section 10 of the act. And number 5, aggregate of incomes computed under the 5 heads of income after applying the clubbing provisions and making adjustment of set off and carry forward of losses is known as gross total income. Number 6, deduct there from deductions admissible under section 80C to section 80U. The balance is called total income. The total income is rounded off to nearest multiple of rupees 10, section 288A. Number 7, add agriculture income in the total income calculated in 6 above. Then calculate tax on the aggregate as if such aggregate income is total income. Number 8, calculate income tax on the net agriculture income as increased by 2 lakhs, 2 lakhs 50, 5 lakhs as case may be. As such increased net agriculture income, there is total income. Next, moving to the 11, the balance of amount income tax left as per 9 above plus the amount income tax at 10 above will be income tax in respect of total income. Number 12, deduct the following from the amount of tax calculated under 11 above. Number 1 is tax deducted at collected at source. Number 2, advance tax paid, and number 3 is double taxation relief. Number 13, the balance of amount left after deduction of items given in 12 above shall be the net taxable or net tax refundable for the assessee. Net tax payable refundable shall be rounded off the nearest multiple of 10 rupees, section 288B. 14, along with the amount of net tax payable, the assessee shall have to pay penalties or fines, if any, imposed on him under the Income Tax Act. Next, total income and tax payable. Determination of residential status, classification of income under different heads, exclusion of income not chargeable to tax, computation of income under each head, clubbing of income of spouse, minor child, etc., set off or carry forward and set off of losses, computation of gross total income, deduction from gross total income, application of rates of tax on total income, surcharges, education cess and secondary and higher education cess on income tax, advance tax and tax deduction at source. So these are the process of income tax. This is the basics concept of income tax. Thank you.